SoFi is suing the Department of Education in the United States. This is, of course, because of the 8th extension of the student loan moratorium. So in this complaint filed to the US District Court, SoFi versus Miguel Cardona, who is actually the head of the Department of Education, they're actually stating that the 8th moratorium pause was way different than the other ones, and it was actually quite unlawful on a couple different grounds. The first part being that this is actually set out due to the HEROES Act rather than the CARES Act, for which this was actually started. Now, in the HEROES Act, this is what they actually state, that the 8th extension applies all to federal borrowers in this country, not just those that are suffering hardship as a result of the current phase of the pandemic. Indeed, the 8th extension does not even attempt to redistress harm from the pandemic at all, but rather alleviate uncertainty caused by the debt cancellation litigation, a justification in the act that is not recognized or allowed. And SoFi is also stating that in the HEROES Act, if they want to stretch it out this far, that they need clear congressional authorization before the agency is allowed to claim such extraordinary broad power. This, however, SoFi is stating did not happen at all. Now, I am not claiming that they are right or wrong. In fact, I am not a lawyer at all. I'm simply just stating what they've stated in this actual complaint to the US District Court. Another major part to this complaint that SoFi is putting out is that there's supposed to be public notice that this extension was actually going to happen, which didn't happen at all. They're stating in their own words that the department failed to even satisfy basic notice and comment obligations, nor did the department make any attempt to explain why the current extension satisfies the Act's statutory requirements. SoFi is clearly stating that the HEROES Act is being way overstretched for how it's supposed to be originally enacted. And I also wanted to add a couple details about the Biden versus Nebraska case, where it was a state-owned case going after the Biden administration for the student loan moratorium, where one of the biggest issues is that they were talking about Mohila, which is actually the student loan lender there that was facing massive penalties to their actual income due to this moratorium pause continuing. One of the issues that a lot of the Supreme Court justices had with this case was the fact that Mohila was not actually a part of the state, and that they were almost like a private entity. However, this is actually being argued right now, but this actually does give some credence to SoFi's case because they are actually the ones that are facing the real injury. They're stating that their student loan originations are almost down by over 90% since, back before this moratorium, and that these extra extensions are just hurting their company, and it's not even lawful. Now, to make SoFi happy, they're asking for one of two things, okay? They either want this student loan moratorium to just simply end and for people to go back to paying off their debts that they have taken out. Or, more simply, have the people that don't even justify at all for any sort of debt cancellation because they either make over $125,000 as a single person or $250,000 as a couple, that they need to go back to paying because even if this does actually get figured out, well, they're simply not even going to see any sort of debt relief at all regardless. Now, SoFi's happy with that as well because the average borrower makes over $167,000 per year whenever it comes to the average borrower for student loans at SoFi, which means that the average borrower wouldn't even get the $10,000 relief regardless. So whether SoFi's in the right or wrong, honestly, I am not the judge for that. There are literal judges to do this sort of bidding. I'm just telling you what's in this actual paper. But personally, I'm actually not that happy about this case, considering the fact that it goes against the mission that SoFi states to the public, that they're trying to help get people's money right. The idea that borrowers are going to have to start repaying whenever previously they weren't paying is not actually getting their money right. Now, I do agree that people, if they do take out a loan, should repay that. Whether you want to say that that's right or wrong, it is actually better for the individual person to not have to pay back their loans right now. But that is all for this case. To be honest, SoFi doesn't even really need the student loans right now. I mean, it would be a bonus, but they're doing amazing with their personal loans. You should see the numbers right there. But aside from that, thank you guys so much for watching. Bye for now.